Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, wherever you may be in the world, because we're a very special company here. We're a global company, but more than that, we're a global family of people, mostly that attract into our product, really care, and they want to make a difference in their life and in this world. And that's what warms my heart, is we have something so special, life-changing because of the hearts of the people, but so life-changing because we have the most remarkable product line that I've ever discovered, and it really does change lives. So before we get started, I do have an important message I must share with you on behalf of Cerule, and that is Cerule products do not cure or heal any medical conditions. While we have clinical trials that support the efficacy of our products, we do not claim they will heal or cure any medical conditions, and that ends the corporate message. And with that message, I can't but urge anyone to try our products, because people report to me the most remarkable results. So talk about remarkable. What a remarkable guest we have on today. He's a gentleman to the fingertips. He is so knowledgeable. He's actually a nutritional scientist. He's got a YouTube channel, the Nutritional Science Watchdog. He's a published researcher with papers in numerous journals. He's been a senior lecturer in clinical psychology, cardiopathophysiology, and a lecturer in exercise and physiology and nutrition. And he is just such a wealth of information. He's got a heart of gold. He's a great guy. Bart Kay, welcome to the webinar.
Ian, thank you so much. I'm absolutely chuffed to bits to be here. It's an absolute pleasure. I was looking over my shoulder for this brilliant guy that you were just introducing, Ian, but I guess it's down to me to sit in the place. And yeah, I'm looking forward very much to this discussion. It's so good to see so many people in the Zoom call, and so many familiar faces as well. Good to see all of you.
Well, it's good to see you, Bart, because you're an inspiration to all of us, because you have life-changing information, Bart, that most people don't talk about. So let's start at the beginning. Why are you here with us using and promoting our Cerule wellness products?
Right. I have to say up front, Ian, like most people, when I first was introduced to these unbelievable products, I was not looking for them. Of course, I wasn't looking for them because I didn't know anything remotely similar actually existed in the marketplace that you could buy. I was aware of a lot of stuff that was going on in stem cell therapies, which largely involved removing people's stem cells from their bone marrow, culturing those, putting them in a syringe, and then needling them back into the areas where people needed stem cells put. Don't get me wrong, that's a fantastic thing. The stem cell therapies that are being done, they're fantastic if you've got a spare 25 grand lying around that you can expend per shot of the stuff. This product, I became aware of it through a direct association that I kind of got at that around about the same time as what I'm about to tell you about. And the association that the first person that was involved with this company that I ever met was actually Andy Goodwin personally. So everyone that I've ever met since then, all the people in the business, they're all people that I've met after I met Andy. So there you go. Here's what happened. Some years ago, I went to the optometrist for a standard eye test, standard eye check, just to get an update on my prescription lenses, as you do every year or two. And the optometrist looked into my eyes, as they do, and said, "Oh, I'm not really happy with what I'm seeing here. I'm going to refer you to the specialist because I think we need to have a look at this." And so I waited out the waiting list time as you do and went and saw the specialist. long story short, the specialist confirmed it, said, yes, absolutely. I was diagnosed at that time with very advanced macular degeneration. And that's usually an age-related thing. Usually it strikes or is diagnosed in people in their sort of middle 70s onwards. It's touted to be an incurable condition. Basically, once you have been diagnosed with macular degeneration, they give you 5 to 10 years, after which you can expect to be legally blind. You'll still be able to see shapes, colours, movement, but you won't be able to resolve anything, see anything, drive, read, any of that kind of stuff at all. So that was kind of a terrifying thing for me at that time, because this was the best eye specialist in New Zealand. And he said to me, look, I have never seen this disease this advanced in a man of your age at the time. And he gave me all sorts of great advice, like there's no cure, there's nothing we can do about it. Don't smoke, don't drink, don't let blue light into your eyes. And then he gave me a bunch of information about diet that was completely wrong, and charged me a couple of $100 and said, good luck, basically. And that was the end of it. That was all I was offered. Obviously, I still wasn't looking for a supplement as the answer of any kind to that, or even as a potential answer. But it was about that time, serendipitously. It just happened at that time that I happened to make the acquaintance of Andy Goodwin, and the rest is history. I got myself involved in the Cerule business as soon as I possibly could. My direct introducer is the fabulous Linda Hoggard, and I'm so pleased that she's around and that she's been able to share with us as she has. She's been a fantastic leader and a fantastic example to all of us, really. And I'm just privileged to be able to work directly with her. Long story short on how that's gone for myself, again, without making any therapeutic claims, because as Ian rightly said, we can't do anything of the sort. What I can tell you is the period of time over which I was expected to go blind has now well and truly gone, surpassed. I went to the optometrist about a month ago, actually, to get a new set of spectacles, as you do. And it was a new optometrist that I hadn't seen before. And I thought this will be interesting, because I thought what I'll do here is I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to rock up. And if there's something wrong with my eyes, like the first optometrist did, the second one will do the same and say, oh, I'm not happy with this, blah, 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 blah. So I thought I'd keep it to myself. And I just sat down and we went through the standard questions, and this woman looked into my eyes and did the usual thing, took the photographs and did the test and said, right, this is what we're going to do. Here's what your prescription's going to be, et cetera, Not a word. So I thought, oh, I'll push it. I said, well, did you notice, was there any sort of issue there that you would notice in my eyes at all that would cause you concern in any way? And she said, no, they look like pretty normal eyes for a man your age, which, by the way, is 49, in case anyone's wondering. Well, it's 49 next month, actually. So it's an association. It's not cause and effect. We can't claim cause and effect, but the best eye specialist in New Zealand told me you will go blind. It will be within 10 years. There is nothing we can do. It is going to happen. Interesting, isn't it?
Wow, that is just awesome. That is fabulous. So
I mean, I don't know if people can imagine being told you are going to lose your sight, and then how I feel now that has not. In fact, not only has it not happened, my prescription for my lenses is actually less than it was 10 years ago. I can see better than I could 10 years ago. I could list a whole bunch of other things that have improved as well over the last 10 years, not just with me, but with, hundreds of people I know who are involved with taking this fantastic product on a daily basis. So, maybe we all fooled ourselves in. Maybe it's placebo effect. My mother has just turned 75. And for the last 5 years, she's been really going downhill in terms of her health. She's had really quite severe ankylosing spondylitis, which is a situation that occurs where your spine and vertebral column, it's an autoimmune thing. It basically starts dissolving and they all start fusing up and they end up hunched over, unable to stand up straight, unable to walk more than about 50 paces, constant pain and suffering. And it was horrible to watch. She also started to have a bunch of TIAs, which are mini strokes, which is also quite typical for women in my family of about her age. And usually that's the slide for several years that goes on, and then usually it's the end pretty soon after that. And I really thought to myself, I have two choices here. I can sit back and watch this happen, or I can say, Mum, take this product, shut up, take this product, shut up, I'm paying for it, take this product, take it every day, don't argue, just do it. Believe me, I know I'm your son, I know you've known me my whole life, I know you've seen me at my worst. If anyone's not going to listen to me, it's going to be my mum, isn't it? But anyway, I got her on the product at a fairly high sort of intake level for the last several months. I hadn't seen her for several months, went down over Christmas, New Year, spent some time with her. She was staying in her second home over there on the West Coast, and she was hosting my sister and her family, and so we went in to spend a few days with her and that. Couldn't work it out for the first few hours what was going on, why it wasn't, something didn't seem right. And then it twigged basically, well, here's my mum standing bolt upright with her shoulders back and her chin up. No sign of the pain on her face that's been there for 5 years. Bright as a button, no sign of the TIAs. In fact, she tells me they have stopped. And that in my mum's side of the family, they don't stop. They get worse until they die, basically. But they've stopped. Bolt upright, chin up, shoulders back. She marched up and down the beach with us for hours on end with 2 dogs and 3 children, with a spring in her step, a smile on her face, laughing and joking about the world at 75 years of age. 2 months after, it looked like she was just about giving up on it. So while there is a financial reward in building this business, absolutely, of course there is. And why shouldn't there be? To me, the real reward is I can now look at my mum and go, maybe I just bought her another 20 years that she wouldn't have had. Maybe I can have my mum around for another 20 years. Who do you guys know? Who do you know that is suffering? Because I'll tell you what, it's most everybody you know in some way.
I think I first met you about 10 years or so ago, Bart, and I think you look younger than ever now. You look absolutely fabulous. You're the nutritional scientist. Let's get into our product, starting with StemEnhance. What does StemEnhance do, and why is it so important or beneficial for people?
Right. So StemEnhance, obviously the flagship product. That's where we plant our flag. That's where we hang our hat, if you like. In the most basic way I can sort of muster, what it does is it is a substance. Well, the active ingredient is a substance that causes a protein chain that holds your adult stem cells bound to the tree, if you like, of your bone marrow structure. So you've got all these adult stem cells in your bone marrow, and they're ready to go, but they can't escape until they're released. They're kind of tethered by this protein chain, and the protein is called L-selectin. The active ingredient in the AFA that does its thing when you consume our product It is an L-selectin ligator. It is like a pair of scissors for that protein chain. It cuts it, basically. And it allows those stem cells to be released from the bone marrow, and then they enter the bloodstream. And then once they've got into the bloodstream, there's all sorts of, I'm loath to use the word magic, Ian, but they do magic in the human body. They really do. Those that don't understand adult stem cells fully, we're hoping after this discussion that I'll be able to add something to your understanding of that you possibly didn't necessarily have beforehand. And if I do my job remotely well this afternoon, my time, you'll all probably go away from here going, wow, I didn't know that about stem cells. So stick around.
Well, with that, Bart, let's start with the basic benefits of stem cells and what they do, and then dig down to more of the anti-aging benefits, and then dig down more to the latest science on adult stem cells, because you got it all, Mark. I've never heard the explanation like you're talking today in such this way. It's so great to get it from another angle from someone brilliant like you.
Awesome. My pleasure, Ian. Okay, so adult stem cells, once they leave the bone marrow and enter the bloodstream, they will float around with the blood, and they have antennae, if you like. They are they are sensing what is happening in the tissues, in the organs surrounding wherever they are in the blood at that time. They are very, very clever at deciphering these chemical messages. They know what's going on. So when an adult stem cell comes across a tissue that is in need of renewal or repair, they sense that, and what they will do at that stage, much like a Velcro sort of situation, there's kind of hooks on the adult stem cells, and there's kind of eyes on the tissue, and it'll link in and right. So now that adult stem cell is locked to that tissue that is in distress. If that particular cell that the adult stem cell binds to, if this cell here needs to be replaced because it's past its use by, it's damaged beyond repair, whatever, then what this adult stem cell over here will do is it will differentiate, which is a flash word for meaning change into. It'll change into a brand new cell of the type that it's just joined to. So an adult stem cell contains all the DNA that you need for your body. It's a blank cell. It's a blank canvas, if you like. And an adult stem cell can become any cell in your body except sperm or eggs, pretty much. So if you have a damaged heart cell and the adult stem cell floats past that cell in your heart and picks up the message that that heart cell needs replacing, it will bind to it, link to it. It will differentiate into a new heart cell ready to replace the damaged one, and then the damaged one is dissolved and removed for excretion and or recycling, as the case may be, depending what the body decides to do with those particular resources. And then what you've got after that is a brand new cell that replaces the old damaged one. So that's pretty much the explanation I was given when I first became involved with the business. That's pretty much the level that we get to, most of us, when we're talking about the stem cells, what they can do. What we say to people is, look, this product does exactly what it says it does. We've got the research to prove that. It releases adult stem cells to the blood. Once they're there, they can differentiate into brand new cells. And usually that's enough.
Well, let's dig deeper. Because our product helps to release many millions more of your own stem cells into the bloodstream, what effects can that have on anti-aging and staying younger longer and staying functional, not just regaining function, but staying like that? Awesome.
Great question. So we said that adult stem cells can differentiate or can turn into brand new cells of whatever sort. So the example we gave was a heart cell. It might be a toenail cell. It might be, well, I wish it was. It's not a hair follicle cell yet in my case. It might be a skin cell. It might be a cell in the macula in the back of my eyes that were damaged, for example. When I said brand new cell, that is what I meant. Let me explain that to you just a bit. Inside your cells, your DNA, your genes are organized into chromosomes, which are blobs of or lengths of base pairs of DNA, which are millions and millions and millions of base pairs long each. You've got X numbers of pairs of chromosomes in your body in every one of your cells. Basically, every one of your cells contains all the DNA. There's a complete copy of it in every single cell. Cells differentiate into different jobs and do different things. The DNA in some cells, certain bits of the DNA becomes redundant in some cells, and in other cells, those particular genes work doing whatever those tissues are doing. It's all very, very clever. When a cell of any kind in your body divides, it divides into two. Okay, so you now have two cells of that kind, and sometimes cells die off for various reasons. Sometimes illness can kill them off, or injuries can kill them off, and so there is a sort of steady rate at which all the cell lines in your body all divide by this binary division methodology: split into two, split into two, split into two, split into two. Now, if your cells all did that ad infinitum forever, then you'd end up with too many cells. So there's a controlled rate at which they divide into two, but there's also, for every individual cell type, there's a set number of times that cell line can divide. And once it's divided that many times, it then becomes unviable, and that cell line will die off to be replaced with a new one from your adult stem cell supply in your bone marrow. Okay. When that cell divides into two, there's a little length, a little bitty, if you like, of DNA on the ends of each of your chromosomes. Think of it like the plastic thing around the end of the shoelaces on your shoes. That stops your shoelaces from fraying. I forget what they're called, but they're those plastic things that run around the ends of your shoelaces. That's a telomere inside your chromosomes. It's called a telomere. Every time the cell divides into two, that telomere gets shorter. And then it divides again and it gets shorter, divides again and it gets shorter still. When that telomere is too short to stop that shoelace, that DNA from fraying, that's what happens. The cell basically dies because the DNA will fray into bits. It's no longer viable. Those cells then die off. So it's one of the reasons we age. It's one of the reasons that our tissues eventually fall to bits and we become decrepit and die at the end of our lives. When an adult stem cell replaces a cell that's damaged in the way that I was talking about earlier, that brand new cell, that new heart cell, that has a full length telomere.
Wow.
Because adult stem cells have an enzyme called telomerase, which rebuilds telomeres in between cell divisions. For that reason, adult stem cells are immortal. You can keep them in a lab, in a petri dish, forever. And they'll keep dividing for hundreds of years, for thousands of years.
Wow. Bart,
because they have telomerase. Go on, Ian.
What you just said is so profound, Bart, because I've heard over the years, telomeres, anti-aging, the world's anti-aging experts say, if you want to stay younger longer, you've got to keep your telomeres at full length. So what you're saying, an adult stem cell not just makes a new, fresh, healthy cells, it makes a new, fresh, healthy, intact telomere as well.
Yeah.
That is just so profound.
It's incredible, isn't it? So that new tissue, that new heart cell that's just differentiated from the adult stem cell that's just joined my damaged heart tissue, for example, the biological age of that cell in my heart is 0.
Wow.
Not nearly 49 like the rest of me. It's brand new. So we have an inexhaustible supply of adult stem cells. You can never run out of them, ever.
And why is that?
However, well, the reason for it is because when your bone marrow is releasing stem cells, the process by which that occurs is there are some master stem cells that are bound to the tree of the bone marrow. Those master cells are never released. They are bound by a different protein that's, if you like, not cuttable. When it's time to release new adult stem cells, that master cell differential or binary division becomes 2 cells. The daughter cell is tied to the master cell by the L-selectin protein that we spoke about earlier. And then AFA comes along and snips that and releases it.
Wow.
Then what happens is the master cell at that stage then goes, whoops, I've lost my daughter cell, and it makes a new one with a new L-selectin, so it's tied to the tree ready to go.
Wow. So when people ask me, if I keep taking too much of this product, will it deplete my bone marrow? What do you have to say to that?
Well, I've just given you the answer, really. The answer is no. You can never run out.
It's just remarkable.
Yeah,
Now,
you can never run out.
Now, we do want to get into other products, but before we get into the other products real quick, let's dig deeper on some of the latest science on stem cells and what they do to help repair cells in different ways, because they have different actions.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. The deal with with why it is that we still age, even though we've got an inexhaustible supply of adult stem cells, as we were just saying, is not because you can ever run out. It's because your ability to release those adult stem cells goes down. The L-selectin protein gets thicker, it gets stronger, it gets harder to cut. It's programmed into your genes because actually you are supposed to age. You are supposed to fall to bits at the end of your life. Your physical body is supposed to die at some point. If you take our unbelievable products, if you take StemEnhance ULTRA on a daily basis, what you're actually doing is reinvigorating your body's ability to release the stem cells. So that gives you a higher level of circulating adult stem cells than you would have otherwise had. That means that any tissues that are damaged and in need of repair will sing out, if you like, to those adult stem cells and grab them, and they will bind, and then they will differentiate into new cells. So a larger proportion of your body is now age 0 and not age whatever age you are currently. So that's the telomere action. That's the true fountain of youth. That's while we can't make therapeutic claims, we can't say this product makes you younger. In effect, if you listen to the science I just told you, it's a pretty solid claim. It makes your tissues, or at least a proportion of your tissues, younger than the rest of you. So it can often seem like you could potentially almost age in reverse. And I think you alluded to it earlier, Ian, when you said I'm actually probably looking better physically now than I did when you first met me 10 years ago, to which I would absolutely agree with you. I think I do. Again, not cause and effect, just an association, but a pretty powerful one, I think, nonetheless. So that finishes off the bit about the adult stem cell resources. Can you run out? No. Why do we age then? Because your ability to release them goes down. What does StemEnhance ULTRA do? It reinvigorates your ability to release them, therefore increasing your circulating adult stem cell resources, thereby making it more likely that any tissues needing repair or renewal will benefit from that in that way. Fantastic. Awesome. If that's still not enough, there's another thing that adult stem cells do that most people have no idea about. And most people have no idea about it because this is cutting edge science. This is stuff that's being published this year in the journals. This is ongoing, happening right now stuff. So here it is. Before adult stem cells differentiate into adult cell lines, so before that adult stem cell becomes a new heart cell or a new eyeball cell or whatever, as long as it remains an adult stem cell floating around in your blood, it is able to do this thing where it will exude or produce a bunch of little packages called exosomes. Exosomes. What is that? An exosome is like a mini cell. It doesn't contain any cell organelles. It doesn't contain your DNA. It doesn't turn into a new cell or anything like that. It's just a package of information. It's a first aid kit. What's in it? RNA, DNA, sometimes whole particular proteins, whatever's needed. You know how I said the adult stem cells have these antennae, they know what's going on? When they sense issue, let's say you have some inflammation. Inflammation is happening. The adult stem cells in your blood will sense the chemical markers of inflammation in your body, and they will start producing exosomes. Tens of thousands of exosomes every hour. Tiny little packages, and they will start exuding these packages out to the tissues. And those packages, those first aid kits, will turn down inflammation, quash the inflammation, quiet it down. Let's say an adult stem cell encounters a tumor, some cancerous material in the body. It can sense that too, and instead of sending a care package that says, be well, get better, it sends a different kind of package. And the package it will send to cancer tissues is, number one, stop with all that cell division. Number two, if you wouldn't mind, Mr. Cancer Cell, off you pop.
Wow.
Adult stem cells can do that without differentiating into anything. I mean, we know that adult stem cells can turn into, directly, they can become immune cells that will attack cancer tissue. We know that. But what we didn't know is that adult stem cells, before they even do that, are already on it with these exosomes. They are exuding these things at a rate, you know, as I say, tens of thousands of these things every hour. They really are the most incredible things I've ever heard of in physiology, frankly. And that's, you know, coming from a scientist that's been involved with physiology for the best part of a quarter of a century. And that's pretty much, you know, this year type research. So that's exciting stuff. And exosomes is a word that you will hear often and more often ongoingly, because exosomes are thought to be involved in viral pathology as well. A virus is able to hijack the exosomes of a given cell in order to transport itself around and to infect a body and to cross-infect other bodies. So you will hear the term exosomes at some point over the next 12 to 18 months, I will say, if you haven't already heard it. The good news is, though, the exosomes that are produced by adult stem cells are the good guys. They do good stuff. They turn down inflammation. They quiet inflammation down. They fix up imbalances. They kill off cancer cells. They're incredible.
Wow, but Bart, this is just so cutting edge information that most of us have never heard of before. Just because you're a nutritional scientist, we're getting this cutting edge stuff from you. It's remarkable. Now, so why don't you touch upon the other products real quick? and then we'll start wrapping up if you don't mind. So
sure, of course, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we all know the absolute most important thing is the flagship, the StemEnhance ULTRA. That's the absolute for everybody. I believe basically everybody, pretty much everybody in the world should consider that product there. We've spoken about that at length and what adult stem cells can do for you, etc. already. Great. Sometimes people can have some issues in their body that need additional support, Ian, I guess is the best way to put it. One of the most common issues that we do come across is that while ever we're releasing adult stem cells, those adult stem cells need to be able to access the tissues so that they can do that lock-on thing. And the point at where that lock-on happens is in the very, very thinnest, very most tiny of your blood vessels, your microvasculature, that are only sort of a few blood cells across, or even a single blood cell and single file across. These things are tiny, and you need the room for the adult stem cells to go through those very small blood vessels. Unfortunately, when you are inflamed, or if you have some kind of invading pathogenic organism in your body of some kind, or if you become injured or any of these kind of things, that tells your body to set off a process of inflammation. And one of the side effects of that inflammation is that there is a plasma-borne protein, which is called fibrin, basically. And it will drop out of the plasma and become a sticky, glue-like, spider-webby blockage in the fine vessels, which will still allow the blood fluid to flow through there, but it blocks everything else off. Because what we're trying to achieve here is we're trying to stop this invading pathogen from getting access to all the other tissues in the body. We're trying to lock it down so that we can nuke it where it is, sort of thing. So your body will drop fibrin into your small veins. That's great. It's your body's supposed to do that. It's indicated, it's useful, it has a purpose. The problem is that most of us now lead lifestyles that we don't have a bit of inflammation now and then. We have chronic inflammation all the time. And that means our blood vessels are often blocked up all the time with fibrin, which means, number one, we can't actually even get red blood cells to a lot of our tissues. So our tissues are starving a bit. But it also means we can't get those adult stem cells there either. So if we're investing, as we should, in releasing the stem cells into our blood, then it's probably a pretty good idea to invest in ourselves enough to say, well, let's make sure the blood can get there. So this is a product called Plasmaflo. It's an enzyme-based preparation. What does it do? It dissolves fibrin. Fantastic. So 2 of those once a day. It says taken best with food, I believe, or something on the label. I found it makes no difference. I found it very effective whenever you take them. I take them in the morning. Once a day, 2 of those. So that's Plasmaflo. Then, since we all live highly inflammatory lifestyles, well, most of us do, why not take an anti-inflammatory as well? Well, I'll tell you why not, because most anti-inflammatories of a pharmaceutical nature are very, very hard on your body. They're very toxic. They have side effects. They're not good long-term. Shouldn't do it. Here's one that has none of those problems. Look at that. It's called Cyactiv. This is powdered Smurfs, Ian. That's what that is. Powdered Smurfs. No, it's not really. It's a blue pigment that is extracted from another blue-green cyanobacter. It's related to AFA. Happens to be spirulina, actually, which you've probably all heard of. It's not whole spirulina, though. It's a specific extract. It's the blue-green pigment. It turns out that it is anti-inflammatory on 2 different inflammatory pathways. For those that are interested, it's the COX-2 and the LOX-5 pathways. So that will blockade further inflammation. So as a holy trinity, I guess, you would say release the stem cells, anti-inflammatories to stop fibrin from developing too much, and if there is any fibrin, get rid of it. Wellness packet of 3, cheapest way to do it. Do that on auto ship, obviously, because you get a decent discount by doing it on auto ship. And if you want it even cheaper than that, get 3 preferred customers, put them on a wellness pack, and yours is free. Free. Wow. Unbelievable. Yeah. So that's the 3 main oral supplement products. There is a 4th product there. It's called Cyactiv Joint, unless you're in the UK, in which case it's called Cyactiv Flex for some reason. Okay, fine. That is based on the normal Cyactiv, but also it's got other things in it like eggshell membranes and other various herbal things, or herbal things if you're American. That's specifically formulated for joints, connective tissues. So if you've got joint issues, rheumatic issues, that kind of thing, you would substitute that one for the standard Cyactiv, basically. Those are our oral supplement products. There's also a fantastic range of skincare products, which I would absolutely warmly endorse as fantastic as well. So there you go.
Well, Bart, I mean, what incredible, knowledgeable, in-depth information you've just given all of us on the product that has got a different twist. It's just deeper than what we've ever heard before. Totally marvelous. You really are brilliant. And then thank you. You're a treasure. And we're so blessed to have you with Cerule. You're changing lives all the time. And I know you're going to Chairman's Club. Thank you, Bart. And thank you, everyone around the world. And we will all be back soon. Bye.
See ya.